Welcome to this live broadcast. I'm Yang Chengxi here in Shanghai. Now we are now at the Pudong International Airport. Many world leaders over the past few days are coming to Shanghai for the highly anticipated China International Import Expo. Now, the leaders who have confirmed their attendance to the expo have been arriving since as early as November the 2nd, including delegations from Great Britain as well as the Egyptian delegation led by the country's Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouly. Now, both the UK and Egypt are guest of honor countries to the event. Now, among some of the world leaders who arrived this morning are Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc and Prime Minister of Malta, Joseph Muscat. Now, President of the Czech Republic, Milo Zeman, is expected to land here at the Pudong International Airport within the next hour. Now, other leaders who are expected to arrive today include Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev and Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan, and last but not least, Georgian Prime Minister Mamuka Baghdadze. Now, a total of 13 leaders have arrived or are arriving today. As far as I know, 3 arrived yesterday. Now, many of these countries that I have mentioned are located along the Belt and Road regions. Now, if you don't know what the Belt and Road region is, they are located across the Southeast Asia and Central and Eastern Europe, as well as the Middle East. The coming China International Import Expo should enable companies from these countries, and many of whom are eager to tap into the massive consumer market, to present their specialty products and services to the Chinese buyers at the event. Now, for a long time, China has been importing goods and services from pretty established exporters from the West and also other parts of the world. But the countries along the Belt and Road region, their products and services, they feel are underrepresented in the Chinese market. They want a better channel, bigger channel to sell their goods, to have a good alternative to these imports on the table in front of the Chinese buyers for us to choose. So this is, at the end of the day, a very good thing for both parties. Now, these top officials that I have mentioned will attend the opening ceremony of the Import Expo on the morning of November 5th, which is tomorrow morning, where Chinese President Xi Jinping will attend and deliver a highly anticipated keynote speech. Many expect President Xi Jinping to reaffirm China's commitment to free trade and also deeper economic cooperation with more countries and regions around the world. Now, later, world leaders will join top Chinese officials to tour the country pavilion, which is a very important part of the Import Expo. There is the country pavilion. There are also the business pavilions. The country pavilion is a 30,000 square meter area where these countries will showcase their development achievements in trade and investments, including trade in goods and services, industries, and also tourism and agricultural products, more importantly. What's more, there are 12 guest of honor countries, and they have all set up their own areas within the country pavilions with specialized decorations that reflect each country's culture and also their specialty products for participants to try out. Now, last but not least, during the Import Expo, President Xi is also expected to hold one-on-one meetings with some of these top leaders. Now, these countries are bringing a lot of their products to China, and many of them might be very new to Chinese consumers. Now, recently, I have traveled to the Shanghai Free Trade Zone, which is at the east part of the city. In that place, you can find that many of these nations' trade groups, have already set up their own pavilions in the area years ago to showcase a lot of their products that have yet to find an opportunity to get into the Chinese market. And many of them are very attractive, I must say. Now, for example, I went to an exhibition room of 16 Central and Eastern European countries. I got to taste the World Award-winning beer from the Czech Republic. And also their very ornate, handmade, beautifully handmade glass chalices. I got to know that the country of Bulgaria, for example, has a very strong industry in rose cultivation and related products such as rose soaps and rose lotions. They smell pretty good. That's because the country has a specialized kind of rose that's called the Rosa Damascus. Apart from these Central and Eastern European countries, I went to also a pavilion of Chilean products. You know, companies from South American countries also have a pretty strong presence at this year's Import Expo. Now, these countries, like Chile, are very strong also in agriculture products. I tasted some of the Chilean papaya juice. It tastes very different, at least from the papaya that I know, the ones that grow in China. Now, I don't know if the Chilean breed also tastes different from the papaya from your part of the world, but the country, but they taste very different and very unique to me. So if you have a chance, do try it out. If you have a chance to participate in the Import Expo, go to the Chilean pavilion. They probably have some papaya juice ready for you. Now, the country also has a strong wine business. That's from what I've observed from a lot of Central European companies and also South American companies. They're all pretty big on wine. Now, mostly Chinese consumers are familiar with wine brands from France, for example, Italy, and also Australia. But wine from these other regions, Turkish wine, wine from the Czech Republic, from Macedonia, and from a lot of South American countries are also pretty unique in their taste. So at the end of the day, there should be more options available on the table for Chinese consumers, and that is a good thing for everybody. Now, more than 1,000 exhibitors from 58 countries along the Belt and Road region are joining the coming expo. Now, that's a third of all exhibitors. That's how important that this market is to these countries, the companies in these countries. So as you can imagine, many of the countries in Europe and also South America and also the Middle East can present good products that have a very distinctive edge. That is that they're very exotic to the average Chinese consumer, and that's a very good selling point. Many Chinese are new to many of these things, and if you sell them well, if you pitch them well, these exotic products can be very lucrative in the face of the huge purchasing power of the Chinese people. Now, take the example of the South American fruit avocado, for example. It is one of the biggest marketing success stories in China. Now, in 2010, China imported only less than, I think, 2 tons of avocados. But since then, something happened, right? The volume skyrocketed straight to 25,000 tons in 2016, 2 years ago. You can find them in almost any Western restaurants in China. It's become such a trend that chefs are adding avocados in many traditional dishes. For many urban Chinese citizens in first-tier cities, having brunch on a weekend with a cocktail and some exotic avocado dishes has become part of the quintessential middle-class lifestyle, and they post pictures of their avocado dishes and post them on Instagram and other social media channels available in China. Now, why is that? Now, experts say it's because of marketing. When this creamy fruit was marketed to, in the beginning, Western consumers in the early 20th century, it wasn't called avocado. It was called the alligator pear, apparently from the a semblance of appearances to an alligator skin. And people didn't really like that name. And since the sellers have kicked off a marketing campaign which involved changing the name to the more exotic sounding avocado and aggressively promoting the health benefits of the unique unsaturated fat. For example, they call it good fat. So who doesn't want good fat, right? Today, China has become the fastest growing avocado market for the top 3 producing countries in South America. At the CIIE, many exporters in South America are expected to try to at least copy that marketing strategy formula. For example, the very exotic fruit of acai berry which is a kind of berry from the Amazon. Also, Brazil nut, which is a very rich source of a mineral called selenium. Now, exporters are expected to market them at the Import Expo, and they believe that the young and health-conscious generations of Chinese people who also share a love of exotic foods will pay for these novelty vegetables. In recent years, the export volume from Latin American countries to China has been climbing. Today, China is the third biggest export destination for the Latin American region. Now, in recent interview, the head of the Cuban exhibitor delegation to the Import Expo said they hope to better sell their signature cigars and rum to China. And as we all know, Cuban cigars has reached somewhat of a legendary level in the world of cigars, right? And also the Dominican Republic is also big on handmade cigars as well as high-end rum. And they are also looking forward to expanding their acknowledgement and sales volume in China. Now, if you're watching and you're under 18, don't smoke and don't abuse alcohol. Now, what about other Latin American countries? Mexico is one of the 12 guests of honor countries, and they are, of course, famous for their corn cultivation. The country has about 40 exhibitors coming, and most are food exporters from that country. And what about countries from the African continent? There's the Egyptian exhibition, where you can definitely find very ethnic products from carvings, ceramics to rugs. And also, I guess some of you might not know that Egypt has is a major exporter of fresh orange. Now, in 2017, the country exported some $100 million worth of orange to China, which is its third largest orange export destinations. I did not know about that, and I would definitely look out for some and try out some Egyptian orange at the next time I hit the supermarket. Now, other African specialties include Ethiopian and Kenyan coffee beans. China is now a very big coffee drinking country. Many urban citizens in China, that's me included, are willing to pay good money for this Western habit of drinking coffee. In 2017, China imported close to 100,000 tons of coffee beans. These African countries close to the equator have lots of sunlight and rainfall, so they're perfect for coffee cultivation. Now, beans from this area are known to have a very nice fruity taste and not as bitter. Now, apart from food items, we can also expect flour products from Kenya, ethnic clothing and handcrafts from Gambia and South Sudan, diamonds from South Africa, and also sapphire from Tanzania. Now, the expo also featured products from European countries like Switzerland, which is very well known around the world for their precision products, such as mechanical watches. Made in Switzerland is right now a synonym for high-end watches, and some of them are very, very expensive. According to a research in 2016, consumers are willing to pay a staggering 100% premium for products made in Switzerland. That's understandable considering how expensive their premium watches are. Now, in February, the country exported some 1.7 billion Swiss franc worth of watches, and sales volume in China rose more than 20%, which is the fastest growing watch market right now in the world. Now, to wrap this up, in the next 15 years, China is expected to import $24 trillion worth of products from the world. Now, the coming China International Import Expo will surely bring new opportunities to all countries in all corners of the world. And of course, I will be reporting live from that event in the coming 5 days. So please stay tuned to our reporting then, and I'll see you at our next live streaming.